Hey, I'm Mike from Lark Labs. Do you have a fireplace in your basement or in your living room even, a gas-fired fireplace that you don't use anymore because it gets the room too hot? Well, I'm going to give you guys the $0 fix for that issue, and it can save you hundreds of dollars on your gas bill in a year. So sit back, stay tuned, and we will get right to it. So your fireplace, a lot of the times, if you guys are using it, it gets too hot and then you guys stop using it because it gets the room way higher of a temperature than what you want it to. And if it's controlled by a thermostat, chances are the installer didn't complete the installation properly when they installed it. So a lot of installers don't understand how an anticipator works in a thermostat when it comes to a fireplace. So basically, on a furnace or a fireplace, let's start with a furnace, I guess. So when you start this cycle, the burner comes on, right? And the flame heats up the air, heats the heat exchanger up, and the blower motor in that furnace will circulate the heat throughout your house, right? Well, when the thermostat is becomes satisfied, the burner shuts off, but the blower continues to run for another 60 to 90 seconds to cool down that plenum heat exchanger before the furnace shuts off. So if you have your thermostat set to 70 degrees, and the burner shuts off at 70 degrees, but the fan keeps blowing warm air through the house for another minute. Eventually, what happens is when the furnace finally completely shuts off, you now have a room temperature of like 72, 73 degrees, but that's not what you wanted. You wanted it to be 70 degrees, right? So there's a thing called an anticipator. And what it does is it anticipates that additional runtime and additional heat radiation off of a fireplace so that it'll shut that fireplace down a little bit early or that furnace down a little bit earlier so that by the time that end cycle stops and that blower motor stops running on your fireplace or on your furnace or your fireplace stops radiating heat from itself, it's comfortably staying at 70 degrees, right? So on your fireplace, it's more of a radiant heat, so it'll actually emit heat longer, so your fireplace gets really hot, thermostat becomes satisfied, right? The burner shuts off. Well, that fireplace is still smoking, piping hot, right? So it's going to be radiating heat into that space for an extended period of time until it cools down naturally, if we don't have a fan kit installed. And eventually that's going to overheat that room by several degrees and it's going to just be uncomfortable. It's going to be too hot. You're not going to enjoy it. So we want to get that comfort level back to where it should be. So we need to set the anticipator. So the anticipator is setting inside of the mechanical thermostats for most fireplaces. And on digital thermostats, you have to set it manually as well, just through the settings. But in order to set it properly, what you have to do is you have to take an amperage reading with your clamp on amp meter and you want to clamp around one of the wires on your heating circuit. So one of the wires that comes off your thermostat and goes to your fireplace or underneath where it connects to your gas valve on your fireplace where that front door panel flips down, clamp a meter on there, just on one of the wires, and then turn the fireplace on. When the system is running, look at the meter and see how many amps you're drawing. It'll be 0.1 amps to up to 5 amps, I believe. So somewhere in there, depending on the system. Every system's different, and however long that wire run is to your fireplace will determine how many amps it is. Once you know the amperage that it's drawing on the anticipator, it's usually a little slide or a dial. You just turn the dial to whatever amperage you were getting on your meter. Whatever the reading was, you set that to, and it will shut your fireplace down earlier so that it continues to radiate heat in the room, but it keeps it at that comfortable temperature. It costs you $0. You just have to set it right, or call your local technician and have them come and set the anticipator on your fireplace thermostat, and you will enjoy that fireplace forever and ever. And it won't just sit there like an ornament, not doing anything because you're afraid to use it because it gets the room too hot, or you don't want to use it because it's uncomfortable, right? It'll make the room more comfortable. It'll save you energy because it's not going to cycle and not going to have the burner on as long. So it's going to save a ton of gas usage as well. And everything will just work the way it's supposed to work. So that's your easy fix. Costs $0 and it can save you hundreds, literally hundreds of dollars. So hopefully you found that helpful. If you did, click like. If you really liked it, tell all your friends, and hopefully we'll see you back here soon for some more tips.